Hey guys! Alright, Sir Daniel here. I'm going to talk today about some common weapon terminology. Okay, so you can use this terminology for designing characters, writing books, drawing, drawing fantasy or medieval characters, or if you're just a beginning historian, like, kind of like me. Yeah, so I hope this is helpful. Alright, so first I'm going to talk about just the basic terms, and I'll just explain a little bit about what each one is. So there's a polearm. A polearm is any kind of weapon on the end of a long shaft or stick. So that's like a spear, some axes. There's glaives and halberds and bills and poleaxes and alspies, and if I'm pronouncing that right, all these different polearms. But I guess the one to think of is a spear. That is the basic polearm. Okay. Next one is a cut. A cut is anytime using an edged weapon like this foam practice sword to attack the opponent. Just the edge to attack the opponent at a high speed. And then there's a thrust. A thrust is using the point to attack the opponent. Okay, cuts are often what people think of with swords. There are some swords that are intended for cutting over thrusting, and there's some swords for intended for thrusting over cutting. Thrusting is often used more against armor, especially plate armor. Okay, so there's the cut and the thrust. All right, so that's just some basic weapon terminology for choreographing fight scenes or something. Another one is edge alignment. Okay, so this is the machete that I sharpened up like crazy to use for test cutting. The reason I do test cutting is for good edge alignment. And edge alignment is lining up that edge with whatever you're cutting. Okay, so if I'm cutting something, I don't want the flat to hit it. I even don't want the edge to hit it at an angle. I want the edge to hit it full on. Okay, so that's edge alignment. And you'll hear a lot of historical European martial arts practitioners talk about that. I dabble in historical European martial arts myself, and that's very important, is edge alignment. A lot of people will be fighting and they don't really think about it. They'll think they're using a lightsaber or something where it can cut through at any part of the blade, but no, you have to have good edge alignment. The next little thing is single-edged and double-edged. You can probably already imagine what that means. Single-edged would be something like this K-bar United States Marine Corps fighting knife, okay? So this is a single-edged weapon. I chose this one because it has the black blade with the silver edge. You can see this just has the one edge, all right? Whereas, these swords up here, which are not really real swords, are pretty historically inaccurate. That's okay. That's double-edged. Okay, so with a single edge, you'll be throwing cuts. You can thrust, especially with something like this too. So you'll be throwing cuts and repositioning, rechambering. So like cut back, cut back, cut back, or cut, reposition, cut, reposition, cut, reposition. Okay, so that's how single-edged weapons are. Double-edged weapons, and I don't want to swing around a lot of sharp weapons here, I'm sorry. I'm going to pretend this is double-edged for a second. Double-edged weapons, you're going to do a lot more cut, 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 that sort of thing. So you can use, especially if you put your thumb up on the grip like that, you can use a double-edged weapon to cut with. So that's double-edged versus single-edged weapons. And I say weapons because there can be a thrusting polearm and there can be a cutting polearm. There can be a thrusting sword, there can be a cutting sword. There can be a single-edged polearm or a double-edged polearm. Okay, so all these things apply to a lot of different things. There can be double-edged knife, single-edged knife, double-edged dagger, single-edged dagger, thrusting dagger, chopping dagger. Anyway, things like that. So a lot of these things are all kind of, they all kind of relate. The next type of weapon is impact. You hear the term impact weapon. Okay, so that's a weapon that doesn't necessarily have a specific point on it and doesn't necessarily have an edge, or I guess a weapon that you're not using an edge, you're using the blunt force channeled through that weapon to hurt the opponent. Okay, so the only impact weapon that I have is this Okinawan Sai, all right? These things are pretty cool. When I was younger, I thought these were like daggers or something. I thought they had edges. They don't. This does not have an edge. It does have a point, a pretty nasty point. So this is also a thrusting weapon. You can have combinations. There's the medieval Polax, which has a big spike on the top and then can have a hammer on one side and then an edged blade on the other side. That's a thrusting, cutting, and impact weapon at the same time. This is just a thrusting and impact weapon, okay? So you can use it to thrust, or you can use this, edgeless blade as a really nice baton sort of thing, or even you can flip it around like that, use that, as impact itself, or hooking or blocking, but the main thing is that this thing, to keep the opponent away, is impact, okay? So it's like any baton, really. So that's impact right there. Just to check my notes real quick. Oh yes, projectile. A projectile weapon is anything that I'm standing over here and I want to hurt that guy over there. So I'm going to throw or shoot or use a gas explosion to fire, anything. Humans are crazy, you guys. Humans are just insane. Some kind of weapon at the opponent. So think bow, cannon, crossbow, gun, any kind of gun. Throwing spear, slingshot, there are javelins, there are fletched javelins, there are all kinds of projectile weapons. So that's a projectile weapon. Some projectile weapons can be used in close combat, but a lot of the time they have to be pretty specialized in order to be effective. Heck, a rock. You can throw a rock at someone, that's a projectile weapon. Alrighty then. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, speaking of close combat, melee. The term melee or melee, some people call it, is up close fighting. That can be, something like using a weapon to try to keep someone back. That can be, punching and kicking. That can be grappling. That's, close range, that sort of thing. That's melee or melee. It can also be used in a battlefield context. So like, the two armies are going towards each other. They're launching projectile weapons at the opponent. Then once they connect and melee ensues between the two sides, they have to stop firing projectile weapons, that sort of thing. So that's how the term melee or melee can be used. It's not just a Nintendo game. All right, so then there's a couple of different things. So there's what's called a parrying device. Okay, a parrying device is anything that you use to stop an oncoming attack, usually from a weapon. Okay, so if I'm wearing this gauntlet, and imagine, full plate harness, along with the arms and stuff, I can use my arm as a parrying device and just use what I know will help deflect something away from myself. In karate, which I've done a little bit of, you do a lot of your forearms are parrying devices, things like that. This Okinawan Sai can be used as a parrying device to kind of, level the playing field there against your forearm. A sword can be used as a parrying device. You can come in, parry, and then attack. The problem with using a sword as your parrying device is that you have to use this thing to attack as well. So what's helpful is a shield, all right? Shields are just super good parrying devices. And a parry, by the way, parry just means to knock the opponent's weapon offline. So say it's coming in, a parry is to knock it away so that it doesn't hit you, okay? More advanced parrying device would be a shield. Shields come in a couple different styles, and they're referred to, or at least in modern terms. Some of these terms are modern, by the way. So you'll have to be careful about that if writing a period sort of piece, because you don't want your characters to be speaking in very modern historian terms. But I think it's often pretty easy to tell which is which. If you have any questions about any of these words or terms or anything, or you want to know more about a specific weapon that I'm talking about or something, leave it down in the comments. I would love to answer your questions, you guys, just whether it be through comments or through video or through smoke signals or Morse code or whatever. Anyway, so shields come in a couple different styles. There's this buckler, which is what's called a center grip shield. Okay. There are plenty of shields that are center grip that are a lot bigger than this one. The center grip shield, you can hold it away from yourself like that, and that actually gives you a really good amount of protection. It gives you less control over the shield. You can be hit like that. However, it gives you a lot of protection. There are plenty of center grip shields that are vertical like this, or center grip shields that you're holding, my watch, you're holding it up like this. The Roman shield, you're holding it up like that. That's how you're able to have such a big shield with just a center grip. I've even seen center grip shields that are very much diagonal, like it's a triangular shield with a diagonal center grip. The center grip shields will usually have this in the middle. It's called a boss. So shield bosses, those are used by anyone from the Romans to the Celts, in super ancient times, to Vikings, to late medieval and Renaissance shields. And they come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Sometimes it's a separate metal piece. Sometimes the shield itself comes up into a boss, but it's just an area for your hand. Some bosses are even a large groove that goes all the way down the shield. So yeah, that's a center grip shield. Generally has a place for your hand to be and the grip. Sometimes you hold it like that, sometimes like that, whatever works. And then the other type of shield would be a strapped shield. This is very much a modern practice weapon. Kind of want to make a dedicated video about these. I have another one too, and it's made out of carbon fiber. I love this thing so much. This one's not actually mine, it's my brother's. Mine is a triangular style, but it is a strapped shield. Not very historically accurately done, but it shows you how it is. So my arm goes through here, and I hold on to this handle. I don't want to put it on right now because of my watch. I should have thought of that. But so the arm goes through right here, and then you hold on to the handle right there. That is a strapped shield. And what's nice about a strapped shield is that it's a lot harder to wrench out of your grasp, and you have quite a lot of power behind it. It's harder to kind of knock aside or move around because your whole arm is behind that thing. And a lot of the time the strap shield is actually used like this, or using the edge as the main deflector. Shields specifically are often used for projectile weapons as well, often called missile weapons, by the way, missile weapons or missile weapons. So shields often used for projectile weapons. That buckler is more for hand-to-hand, but those are the basic shields: strapped and center grip. Let's see if I had anything else planned. Well, it looks like that's about it. All right, so I'm going to be making a couple other videos in the future about the same sort of thing. This is about weapons specifically. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you'd like to. If you didn't like it, you're totally, able to give it a thumbs down, but maybe just forget you saw it. That's okay. Subscribe if you want to. That would be wonderful. These sorts of things, these analytics and things really help me to know what kinds of things you guys like. I know I'm just getting started, so there's really not a lot of videos to base that off of. I understand that. Thank you so much for watching, though. Every view helps. It makes me happy every single time. I love helping you guys out in any way that I can. I'll see you next time.